Hey, welcome to another edition of what we're calling Taptico Talks. I'm Dave Clapper, and ultimately the concept behind this is I don't know anything.
We teach you.
Which you teach me. Which for me to play the part of not knowing anything, I think I got it down.
Yeah, you're a good boomer.
Yeah. So here with the, I'm not a boomer.
What are you?
I'm Gen X, man.
Okay.
Really, boomer?
Like you're the very earliest Gen X.
No. Wow. I really want to punch you right now.
I'm kidding. Age is just a number.
I am smack dab in the middle of Gen X. Anyway, trying to live this life of the Gen Zs and the millennials and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm going to act like a boomer. How about that?
Okay, act as so.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Tribble Reese here, and he is a paid expert for Taptico Solutions. Really focusing on content. There's so much about what Taptico does in regards to marketing and then AI implementation. And you really lead the charge on the marketing side, but more specifically, branding and content, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's all, nowadays, it has to be all encompassing, right? Branding, part of your branding and marketing needs to include a little bit of AI. And what we're going to talk about today is how much AI should be included in your marketing and your storytelling.
Yeah. How are brands right now really utilizing AI as a marketing tool?
Well, it's kind of the Wild West a little bit. It's so new to everybody, and it's finally hit the mainstream that everybody's kind of dipping their toe in different ways to incorporate it in their marketing. And brands are starting to figure out prompting is very important when it comes to how the output of the AI that for your marketing, you have to have good prompts. And so brands are starting to experiment how best to incorporate it within their marketing.
So, again, layman's terms, that's kind of why I'm here. Netflix utilizes AI, not necessarily in marketing, but like how they deliver in the sense of, all right, I'm on Netflix and I don't know what to watch. It uses AI to pick up on things that I might be interested in. Or Amazon utilizes AI to look at all the things that I've purchased and go, oh, you might want to purchase this as well.
Yeah.
Is that kind of AI implementation also something that will be used more specifically for like branding?
I think that the use case for algorithm kind of artificial intelligence, that's really just treating everything like a number. And so they're spitting out basically what they think that you'd want to watch next. Now, when it comes to branding and advertising, that's more of the Wild Wild West that I was talking about, where they're thinking, hey, should we have a talking gorilla spouting our product, or should we create this alien landscape and have a sign of our plate? Like anything they can think of, they're going to try to incorporate it because it's new, like the newness of it all. And the people are like, oh, that was cool. I've never seen that in my life. And I'm drawn to that because I want to see stuff that I've never seen, like the novelty of it all.
So do you think that soon consumers will reject AI generated content?
Well, it's a great question because here we are and brands are starting, like I said, to dip their toe in. Everybody's experimenting with it. But when is it going to get to the point where it's too much? When is it going to get to the point that there's a term AI slop where 90% of the stuff that you see is just created by bots or AI? And when the novelty wears off of the cool factor of, oh, that's hilarious. Oh, it said the gimmick of the cow, dancing. Like when that wears off and I think people are eventually, Dave, going to crave that human connection. And knowing that a human was involved, they call it human in the loop, knowing that a human was involved in the production process, whether that be writing the script, whether that be inside of like maybe the humans involved, within the marketing. I don't know. It's basically you want a human. I think the humans are going to eventually want to see other humans instead of just the novelty of the AI.
What do you think makes like the human content just like irreplaceable? Like what is it about the psyche that drives us to go, okay, I get the robotic, the AI, it's all really fascinating, but man, like I'm stuck to the tried and true. Like what's about our psyche that does that?
How do you define the soul?
Yeah.
How do you put the feeling of a heart on paper? How do you put that into words? Right now, you can kind of see the writing style of a GPT, like a chat GPT. You can see it has its own style just like a human would. And I personally think that it's going to be, as much as AI is going to progress and as much as we're going to be continue to be wowed by it, I think that the soul is like infinite, and there's something about it where only humans are going to be able to connect, and only humans are going to be able to like realize that a human was involved in the process.
So when you're talking specifically about where you're at in regards to delivering content as part of Taptico Solutions, you're not necessarily going, hey man, we're going to generate all your content with AI and create all this stuff. You're actually kind of thinking more on the lines of how can we deliver with efficiency content as opposed to creating content with AI.
Yeah, it's using AI to best be the most efficient while keeping your human and soulful, heartful roots in the process. I think that the pendulum has swung and it's going to continue to swing, like I say, until the novelty wears off. But eventually, I don't think it's a good practice for a brand to continue to rely on AI for everything. Like, pretty soon they're going to write the scripts, they're going to film it. Like AI will literally do everything to where a human could be sitting at home, and it's just all computers and bots doing all the stuff. And I think that the storytelling nature of what a brand, what their real essence and ethos is, I think that'll get lost if you don't have the good practice of keeping that human involved in the whole system.
When you think about it, kind of in just a natural progression of the world, for instance, let's think back in the early 1900s before everything started becoming more mechanical. All right, when
Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, when things were actually, they went from being created by hand to being created by machines, and then as the 1900s progressed into robotics, and then robots and stuff, and then there's this huge like appreciation for artisan, actually handcrafted. If you look at the value of something at a secondhand store, if it's handcrafted, it is worth so much more because obviously there was somebody who put their hands on it and built it from scratch or whatever. Do you think that will be kind of the same thing as we're kind of in a cyclical world that suddenly marketing and creation of content is going to go so robotic that there's going to be an extra added value to things that's actually built by our hands?
Yeah, and the first thing I think of is, have you ever had a home cooked meal?
No.
What's your mom's name? Rose?
Yeah.
Is she a good cook? What's your favorite meal that she makes? Do you have one? Or are they all good?
My mom's not the best cook, so sorry, Mom. I don't know if she watches this thing. I would say my wife.
Okay.
She cooks in my home, so those are home cooked meals, and she's a fantastic cook. So yes, I have some meals.
Okay. Even though you can't put it on paper, there was some love that was put into that meal.
Yeah.
At some point by another human, right?
Yeah.
And as opposed to, machines could probably make a meal just as easy.
Yeah.
I think that heart translate, like in art too. There's a bunch of artists out there, and this is there's creativity involved in all branding and marketing, and brands know that. And I think that people are drawn to the creative, just the true creative nature of what comes up from human intuition, from the soul. And I think that's kind of where we're heading. And for the pendulum to swing all the way to where it's all robots, and this is super cool. I think that you'll start to see, and I don't know if it's 6 months from now, if it's 5 years from now, eventually people are going to crave humanity.
It's moving so fast. It could actually burn out as quickly as it's created.
I don't know if it's going to burn out, and like what you were talking about earlier, it will, the burnout of what they're producing. Now, what won't burn out is the efficiencies that it creates.
Yeah.
If I'm going to cut my time in half because of AI, using AI, that stuff, I think we're all, that's not going anywhere, and we can push that to the absolute limit. But when it comes to the art, the true creation process, that's where I think people are going to have to be careful, not just to surrender everything to AI.
So one of the things that we talk about on this show, really, as I'll sit down with you and talk, specific content and not AI necessarily, but marketing and content. And Nick, I'll talk to him about AI versus automation versus agents and all that stuff. But more specifically, like for you in content and content creation and all that stuff, you tend to be where in the spectrum of like what moves you the most when you're talking about and creating like a conceptual idea for a potential client?
So it's the efficiency of AI. I don't think that when we're talking about the future right now, we're talking about hypotheticals of where it's going to be. I don't think anybody, the human, like a person still needs to be involved. We're not to the point where you can completely come up with the concept without even having a human checking it and scripting it and everything like that. We're close, but I think that what really gets me going is the efficiencies, the fact that we're going to film this podcast right now, and instead of an editor going through and reviewing the full 20-minute podcast, we can have an AI agent go through and chop it up and use with pretty good accuracy. It can chop it up into the point. If we have any good talking points, it can actually make it so it can chop those up into like short, snackable ways of posting. So
I mean, really, it does. It makes everything so much easier. I mean, even if you use something as, it's probably not basic, but CapCut, it's something that I like to utilize. It makes life so much easier, even when it just comes to like adding captions. It's like, okay, I'm going to post this and I want to add captions. Boom. That is an AI tool that people are utilizing to not only help content be delivered a little bit more interestingly, but also a little bit more efficiently as well.
Yeah, and now it's captions, it's inserting B-roll. So we're here, two guys having a conversation in a room. You can slap captions on it pretty easily, and then all of a sudden we're talking about a white elephant, and it'll somehow pull or create a picture of a white elephant in order to add more kind of fervor to our conversation.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we want to do often when we do these is to talk specifically about a tool that maybe you have recently learned about, found, studied, have an opinion on. What most recently have you kind of got your hands involved in and one of the AI tools for content delivery that you're fascinated with, you thought was garbage or whatever, something that we can potentially tell the listeners of, hey, this is out there, it's awesome, or keep away from it?
So because as a marketer and branding expert that I do for not only our company, but also for our clients, I'm looking for those efficiencies because we're going to be doing this at scale, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to have unlimited clients, but we will have a certain amount to where I want to find stuff that works. The Captions app, I know it just says captions. It's not too expensive. It's like, $8 a month. You get a free trial. It can do the captions. It can do the cutting of the clips. It can you can prompt it to come up with something that's not quite as good. What the one really cool feature of it that I am super impressed with, because it was pretty functional, is you can go to a product website. You can go to Best Buy and type in like Sony camera, a certain type of Sony camera, and they actually have avatars built into the app, like 50 avatars that you can choose from. You can give it basically a script. You don't even have to give it a script. You can basically just post the link into the app, and it will spit out 5 30-second ad creatives. It's pretty much like an avatar talking about the product.
No way.
It like that blew my mind. And it actually is, I mean, it's not something you can just, again, you got to have a human in the loop. Like you got to check it and maybe adjust some things. But the fact you can just post a link and it can read what the link is and it can convey, warranted information about it, like just like that, we're close to it just being, I mean, my mind's blown every week.
One of the things that we talk about from Taptico is that we try to give small businesses the big business advantage. Let's just give that as an example. So I am a camera shop, right? But I'm I'm Best Buy. I've got money, I've got marketing dollars. I can literally hire a whole team, shoot a bunch of commercials, and put them out there, whether or not there's something that's in B-roll or it's something that's on TV or whatever. But if I'm I'm Ken's Camera Shop. Now you can use a tool like this and make it look almost as if you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to pretty much promote the same thing.
And exactly. And what doesn't get accounted for in the stuff that we do for our clients is it took me a while to go through a bunch of, and I'll probably go through 2 or 3 or 4 and really do deep dives on these, different AI agents, technology that comes out. I go through that every week, and it takes time to do the research. And Nick does a ton of research on what he has. So small, medium-sized business owners, or even like marketing teams, they don't have the time to really do these deep dives. And so we're doing that in the background, and we're presenting what, best practices to these businesses, and it really can change. It can change the course of their business just like that.
Awesome. Well, that's pretty much what we got for you this week. Always a pleasure to sit down and talk to you. And Taptico Talks. We said in our last podcast we needed help naming this.
Yeah. So if anybody, when people watch this,
Yeah.
when the millions are tuning in, it could be Taptico Teaches.
That could be good too. Taptico Talks, Taptico Teaches. But Tribble Reese is one of the partners at Taptico, and he is all about content, brand marketing. If you have questions for us in regards to how to integrate AI, or you need some help on your marketing team, or you don't have a marketing team, you call us and we deliver results.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Fractional CMO, fractional CAIO. We have 3 C-level execs that will be your full-time assistants.
And we are 2 of them. We'll talk to the other one here momentarily, but for this episode, we appreciate you coming by.
Thanks, guys.